continue and proceed with your testimony.
Okay, thank you. Well, um, over the time that my husband and I were married, um, we had issues occasionally, and I didn't think much of it. But when I met my guy friend, it caused a lot of jealousy issues, and I enjoyed spending time with him, and I knew my husband would get jealous, so I kind of lied about my time together with him in the beginning because I didn't want to lose him. He made me laugh, and I enjoyed having a new friend. I didn't think of it as anything wrong. Um, but it caused jealousy issues, and my husband eventually, over that 2 year period, he started getting really cruel. And I feel it would be in the best interest of the children to be away from him for a while because he basically turned them into bullies and he allowed them to disrespect me. He allowed them to do whatever they wanted, basically. And, if mom said to do it, he would say, don't listen to her. Uh, if I said, I love you guys, I'm sorry, I have to leave, it's not safe for mom right now, he would say, no, you don't. She doesn't love you. And the kids over time, that's what they heard over and over was that mom doesn't love them and that she's a bad parent and she's abandoning them. That's not true. I have stood by my kids since the day they were born. I have been a big supporter of their education, always finding educational toys, games, everything I can to try to further their studies and have fun while doing it. Tim and I both agree that private school is the best option for them this fall. I have too much on my plate right now to continue homeschooling. And quite frankly, with the breakdown of the bond between me and my kids, which was because of my husband, in my opinion, um, because of his influence, it made it very hard for me to teach because they didn't want to do what they were asked anymore. Well, if mom says, oh, I don't want to listen to what mom says, Thomas would take his books, he would throw them across the room. And it just got to the point where I was like, well, I'll do the best I can, whatever we can get in, let's do it, maybe watch some, educational DVDs or something. But I really feel that they need to make new friends. And since Tim doesn't want them around my kids or my friends' kids, all right, that took away their only friends. And I was mad at him for that. And I don't believe that it is in the best interest of the children for him to have full custody of them when he continues to have a stronger influence over them than myself. They don't understand that they've been brainwashed. They don't understand how strong dad's influence has been. And I can't parent them easily if they're not willing to be open to, what mom offers for life advice or just simple parenting. I don't know what else I'm supposed to say. I know that there's stuff we got to work on as far as, how we're going to co-parent eventually. But I think that my kids need therapy. I think it's going to take at least 6 months to a year. And during that time, I don't think Tim should have any involvement because I think that his influence has been heavy enough. I've watched my kids go from sweet babies to destroying my stuff and stabbing me in the back by telling dad stuff that, they overheard me say or saw over my shoulder texting to a friend, and then they just decided to report it. Like it's not their place, it's not their business, and they didn't have the whole story. Lost 3 jobs because of him and this stupid marital drama that we've been going through. The lack of sleep, and him making it so bad for me after like 3 to 5 hours of putting me down, putting my parents down, of just insult after insult. And finally, I just said, enough. I'd rather take my chances out on the street. And so I would leave. And whether I got a room at the shelter, I tried. A lot of times they were full. So, I would take loan money from my guy friend, and he would give me some cash, and I'd go crash at a motel for a night or two, let things cool down, and try again. Leave my duffel bag by the sofa, try to be near the kids. It just wasn't working. We did this for months. He made my kids hate me. And he says no, but he did. When he told them that, don't worry, guys, this thing will be gone soon. This loaf on the sofa. That hurt. And there were many other things that he added over the course of 2 years that he says were justified because I was being shady and I wasn't respecting him. So he feels everything he said and did was fair. And I don't agree. Some of it was downright cruel. The environment here at the house is negative and sometimes toxic. And I don't think that that's good for the kids. I think they need to be in a more nurturing environment. And I can't say as I've always been positive myself. I've been struggling with my own self-esteem issues. I've been in therapy for almost a year now, with my therapist over at Safe Place. They're really knowledgeable, and it's helped me a lot. And I feel that I can be a much better mother when I'm out of this negativity, and I can continue to heal properly if I'm not constantly afraid all the time. I want to be a better mom, and I know I can get back to that. It's just been a very difficult time period for all of us. And I know part of the reason my kids are acting out is because of the divorce, but a lot of it has to do with what dad has told them, confided in them, which I think is not right either. I had my few moments too, because we don't have a lot of friends and sometimes it just came out. But, kids deserve better. So I want to try to make that a better year for them this year. But I need a car to be able to do it, and I need a better job, and I can't get a better job until I have a car. I guess that's it.
Okay. Mr. Linton, any cross-examination?
Yes. So, Ms. Kennedy, when did you move out of the marital residence?
I never actually really changed my address, and my name is still on the title of the house. I just sort of came and went.
Well, you indicated that you've been staying with friends. So how long ago did you begin staying away from the marital home?
The last week in November, I got scared and I left for my own safety.
So last week in November is when you basically moved out?
I can't say that I moved out. I spend the majority of my time here. When my husband's at work, I watch the kids. So, I mean, I am here a lot. I don't really have a home per se. I sleep over at my friend's house,
All
but
right.
I don't live there. I don't spend much time there at all.
Who is this friend?
Nicole.
Nicole. And is this person in any way related to, you call him your guy friend? I think his name's James.
It's James's sister, yes.
Okay, so you live with his sister.
Kind of. Like I said, I don't really live there. Like I sleep there, you know.
Okay. And so do you have your clothes and items there?
I don't know how this is relevant. I left for my safety.
That wasn't the question if you left for safety. The question was, are you keeping your belongings at this place?
I have belongings here at the house too, at both places. I don't understand.
So you do have some belongings there.
I think I have a change of clothes here at the house, and I've got the majority of my stuff over there, yes, because my children were destroying them.
All right. And is this located near where James lives?
For a time, yes. He's moving, so
All right. I'd like to show you. Your Honor, would I be able to share screen?
Yes.
Sorry for the interruption, I won't be sharing the screen for obvious reasons. There will be a still image during the exhibits. Let's return to the video.
All right. Ms. Kennedy, showing you here, looks like a text from Angela. Would you recognize this text?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Is this a text message that you sent to your husband, Tim?
Yes, I did.
All right. And in this text, you're indicating that your oldest, I assume your oldest child, is that you're referring to?
Yes.
Is afraid of you?
That was because of what my husband told her, and I wrote a letter to the judge explaining this, but his continued poisoning of her mind over the past 2 years is what prompted this.
Okay,
And
but she did declare to you that she was afraid of you.
Would you please stop interrupting me?
I thought
Well, ma'am, you're going to have to answer the question. You're kind of getting off on things that you want to say. Answer what Mr. Linton has asked you, and then you'll have an opportunity later to respond.
Fine.
she did tell you that she was afraid of you. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and she also asked you to leave the home. Is that correct?
She asked me to leave. Yes.
Okay. All right, Your Honor, I ask if what's marked as Exhibit B1 could be admitted.
One, ma'am, what's your response to the offer of the exhibit?
That's not fair. I have plenty of evidence that I could give where he said horrible things to me, and I provided photos of that to you prior to this trial.
Okay. Court will admit defendant's exhibit B1, there being no appropriate objection.
Let's
And ma'am, just for your edification as you go, you've submitted things, and as you said, a letter. The court cannot consider any letters from parties. That's ex parte communication. So any letters that you might have written, I did not review, I did not read. You find that humorous, ma'am?
Your Honor, you have no idea the hell this man has put me through. And yeah, I believe that laugh was appropriate given my situation and my opinion and everything that I've endured from his hand.
Well, let me inform you again, ma'am. I'm just trying to tell you what the law requires, and the law states I cannot consider ex parte communication. So when you send me a letter, I can't and I did not review that. I just advising you that so you would know that. And regardless of what your history is or anything like that, the court doesn't see how that's funny that I'm informing you what the law provides. Go ahead, Mr. Linton.
Okay, thank you. So, Ms. Kennedy, I'm showing you another text here. Does this appear to be a text that you were sent to Mr. Kennedy?
Yes, I sent it and then I regretted it.
Well, let me just ask the question first. So, so this message, and you're basically stating to Mr. Kennedy that if he just helps you get a car, that you would give him the house. Is that correct?
We have gone back and forth multiple times, sir.
But that's what's in this message, is that if he helps you get a car, that you'll give him the house, correct?
Yes, at the time, that's what I put.
Okay. And in fact, Mr. Kennedy did co-sign a loan to help get this SUV in question, correct?
Yes, he did.
Okay. Your Honor, I ask that Exhibit B8 be admitted.
Ma'am, what's your response?
That SUV was paid for out of my $40,000, my inheritance money, not his. And I make those payments to One Main right now, not him. He may have made a few of those payments, but I make them now. And I did make them in the beginning.
Okay. Court will admit defendant's exhibit B8, there being no proper objection.
All All right, so I'm showing you, Ms. Kennedy, another text message here that was sent to Mr. Kennedy. Does this appear to be a message that you would send him?
Yes, I did.
Okay, in that message, you basically are, I'll just read it. It says, you're giving no thought or consideration to the fact that you have a life and responsibilities over here now, too, that is neglected when I stay overnight with you and the kids. You're referring to over here now. Where is that location? What are you referring to there?
Nicole's house.
Okay, so you're further indicating that you have responsibilities that cannot be neglected at Nicole's house. Is that correct?
Doing laundry, doing dishes, things that I need to do to be independent.
Okay.
I can't just dirty my laundry and then just wear dirty clothes to work. Like, he doesn't give me time for anything, and my therapist can vouch for that.
Okay, but what the message is saying is that you have a life over at Nicole's house and responsibilities, and that you can't neglect those to come home and help with the kids at the house. Is that correct?
No, that is not what I said. What I was trying to imply, okay, I know what you're trying to imply, but what I'm trying to imply by that is the fact that any time that I went to work, Tim immediately wanted me to come from work to the house to watch the kids because he said he couldn't trust them to be home alone, even though they're old enough to be. And he wanted me to stay the entire duration. And then as soon as that was done, I would walk 2 miles to get to my house, my other house. All right. And then by the time I got there, I was exhausted. I had no time to do my chores, to take care of myself, to do my schoolwork. And he didn't care. He said he didn't care if I lost my job because he made more money.
All right. So he's asking you for help watching the kids, and you're declining. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what I said at all. I said that I am tired by the time I get done going from work and watching the kids. I literally have no time for myself at all. So that's all I do at Nicole's is sleep.
Okay.
And I ask her to do my chores. That's not fair.
So, Your Honor, I would ask that Exhibit B11 be admitted.
B11? Ma'am, any response to this particular exhibit?
I don't know what to say. I'm getting steamrolled.
Okay. Court will admit defendant's exhibit B11.
Thank you.
Do I get a chance to enter in anything off my phone since the pictures in the letter don't seem to count?
Ma'am, you had opportunity when you testified to present any evidence. We will give you an opportunity after this if you wish to do so.
Okay. Ms. Kennedy, I'm showing you another text message that was sent from you to Mr. Kennedy. Do you recognize this message?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And in this message, you're telling Mr. Kennedy that I love James very much. I'm his now, and he is mine. Is that accurate? Is that what it says?
I was just saying that to get his goat, but I do care about James very much.
Okay, so you're sending antagonizing messages to Mr. Kennedy to get his goat, so to say?
No. Look, I care about James. He's a good guy, and we have a lot of laughs together. But it's not like what you're trying to paint me as, no.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd ask that Exhibit B13 be admitted.
Any response, ma'am?
James is a good friend of mine, all right? He's not a bad person, and I don't want him involved in this.
Okay.
Far as
Court will admit defendant's exhibit B13. There be no objection.
So, Ms. Kennedy, I'm showing you another text message here between you and Mr. Kennedy. Do you recognize this message as well?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And in this message, you're saying that, not trying to sound rude, but don't worry about my plans. I don't live at the house anymore. Is that correct?
And technically, all my possessions are at Nicole's, but I don't spend much time at Nicole's because I'm always here.
But you're indicating that you don't live at the house anymore, right? In this message?
Is the whole point to just give my husband everything because it's a lot less painful than go
Ma'am,
through.
that's not the question I asked you. I just asked you in this message, you're stating that you don't live at the house anymore. Is that correct?
I didn't have a choice. He pushed me out.
Okay, that's not the question. I'm just asking you the contents, which is you're saying you don't live at the house anymore. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Your Honor, I ask that B16 be admitted.
Okay, ma'am, any response on exhibit B16?
No, Your Honor.
Defendant's exhibit B16 is admitted.
All right. And so I'm showing you another text message sent from yourself to Mr. Kennedy. Do you recognize this message?
Tim said he wasn't going to submit these. He said that I could just talk to him, and he lied to me.
So you do recognize it?
Yes.
Okay. And in this message, you're saying, I choose James. Is that correct?
He doesn't abuse me.
So that is correct. You said you did write to Mr. Kennedy that I choose James.
It doesn't matter what I choose. It's what James chooses too. And he has chosen me.
Okay.
So,
ma'am, I'm just asking you what's in this message. Is that what's stated in this message?
yes, that's
Okay.
what I.
Okay. So Your Honor, I'd ask that exhibit B18 be admitted.
Any response on exhibit B18, ma'am?
My husband is deeply manipulative. He is evil. He's a narcissist, and I have tried forever to escape him.
Okay. Court will admit the defendant's exhibit B18 as there is no objection.
Okay. Ms. Kennedy, excuse me. I'm going to show you here. There were some pictures that I'm going to display here. Do you recognize these pictures?
Oh my God. Why? Yes, I recognize them.
Okay. And these are pictures that did you send to this friend of yours, James?
I sent them to my husband.
Did you send them to James?
I might have. I don't know. I don't remember.
So you may have sent them to James.
What does this have to do with anything?
Just if you could answer the question, that's what I need you to do.
I might have. I don't know. It was a while ago.
So you don't know if you sent them to James or not.
I probably did. Okay. I don't know. I don't send them around to a whole neighborhood. I've never done pictures like that before.
Okay. So these are pictures you took of yourself or had taken.
I took them myself.
All right. Your Honor, I ask that exhibit C1 through C12 be admitted.
Okay. Ms. Keen Kennedy, any response to a defendant's exhibits C1 through C12?
I don't have anything to say.
Okay. Defendant's exhibits C1 through C12 are admitted.
All right. Ms. Kennedy, did you recently stay overnight at the home for a couple of days?
I don't understand.
Were you sick and that you actually stayed at the marital residence for a couple of nights?
I object. That's under 7 days prior to the trial date. That doesn't have anything to do with this.
Ma'am, it's not a proper objection, so answer the question.
Yeah, it was sick and there was medicine here and I didn't have that over at Nicole's.
Okay, so you did stay the night, a couple of nights at the marital residence.
Like I said, I'm in and out.
Just answer the question. So you did stay a couple of nights over at the marital residence.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so obviously you weren't scared, to the point where you felt comfortable you could stay there for 2 nights, correct?
Mock me, sir. That is not fair. Pull my records with my therapist and you'll see.
Okay, ma'am, that's not the question. I said you felt safe enough that you were able to stay over 2 nights at the marital residence, correct?
It depends on him. If he has been drinking, he becomes a totally different.
That's not the question I asked you. I just said you spent those 2 nights when you felt sick and you were comfortable enough to do that, correct? It's a yes or no.
Where else can I go? I don't have anybody else to take care of me.
So that's a yes?
He did this. He set me up for failure. That's what all of
That's not the question. Question is, you felt safe enough to stay. You felt safe enough to stay at the marital residence for 2 nights, correct?
I don't feel safe here. Why do you think I sleep with my phone under my pillow? I do what I have to do to survive. Anybody would feel that way.
So, Ms. Kennedy, have you had the children around James?
A couple times I had to give him some money to pay him back.
So you have had them spend some time with James?
A couple times.
And have you brought them over to that to the residence where Nicole lives, where you're staying?
Yeah, I generally take my kids wherever I'm going if I'm running errands.
Have they ever spent the night at Nicole's home?
Bella has.
Who?
My daughter Bella, she has been over there with me. She asked me to take her.
So one of your children has spent one night there?
Yeah, it's not a dangerous place. Nicole has 2 boys. They're young.
Okay. And you indicated something about they're friends with James's children. Is that what you had testified to earlier?
I have no idea what that is. James doesn't have kids.
Okay, maybe I missed it. Maybe it was Nicole. I'm sorry. You mentioned something about other kids and they weren't able to see them anymore and they lost their friends. So I wasn't sure what context that was within. What hours do you generally work at your employer?
9 a.m. to 6.
And how long have you worked there?
Since October the 13th.
And how much do you make?
14.
All right. And how many hours a week do you typically work?
Depends. If they cut hours, like 32, sometimes I work 40, but for the most part, I'd say the average is about 38.
All right. And are you considered full-time?
Yes, I am.
And do you have health insurance through your employer?
I was offered it in the beginning stages and I missed the enrollment period. So I do not have health insurance right now through them. I do have health insurance through the state as secondary.
Okay. Do you have health insurance through Mr. Kennedy's employer?
Until he drops me.
But you currently have health insurance through Mr. Kennedy's employer, correct?
I told him not to add me, but yes, because it messes up all my benefits.
And so you indicate you work typically 9 to 6, is that right?
Yes.
All right. And so how many days, like, do you have a set schedule every week or do you work a varying schedule?
It's a set schedule.
And what is this? What are the days then you work?
Friday through Tuesday.
And you, the kids are currently homeschooled, is that correct?
Yes.
So while you're away from the marital residence, Mr. Kennedy is the one that has to provide care for the children, is that correct?
If they're here, they're in his care. However he decides to arrange that is on him. For the most part, my husband has told me he can't afford a babysitter, so it's easier to have me watch the kids.
All right, but you're able to watch them 9 to 6 a.m. or 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. to Friday through Tuesday, right?
I can't watch them while I'm at work.
Okay.
But he leaves for work about 2:30. So the kids are by themselves for a few hours, and it's not a big deal because Sam is 14, Olivia's 13, Thomas is 12, and Isabel just turned 8. They're more than capable of.
Ms. Kennedy, how much child support have you paid to Mr. Kennedy since you moved out?
None, because none has been demanded, none has been determined.
Okay. Have you provided him any financial support since you've moved out?
Absolutely. I spent almost $400 on groceries a couple weeks ago. I paid the Semco bill last week. It's not like I don't contribute.
Do you help pay the household bills then?
That's what I just said. I paid the Semco bill. That way it wouldn't be shut off.
You said you paid a septic bill?
No, Semco heat.
Okay, so you've paid for one heating bill since you've moved out.
I've paid for more than that.
What other bills have you paid?
Caught unprepared. I don't have it all in front of me, but I have participated. I usually buy food for them.
So you can only say for certain that you paid the one Semco bill, the one heating bill.
I was told that my husband made enough money that he could cover all this by himself. He didn't need me, but I have been contributing.
Okay, so your contribution was then also $400 in groceries. Is that what you testified to?
Yes.
Okay. And other than paying that bill and those groceries, you haven't made any other contributions to the household finances, is that correct?
For the one main title loan, I've been making payments on that to get that current.
To what?
We have a title loan against the SUV. It's over $6,000 that we still owe, that I owe, but he co-signed on it.
Okay.
And I made that bill current. I just made a payment on that.
Okay, so it's for the car payment.
Yes.
Okay. And are you currently in school?
I tried to go back to school, but that didn't work out very well.
Okay, so that's a no.
I pretty much had to give up that class because of these other things that were going on.
Okay. All right, Anna, I have no further questions. Thank you.
Okay.
And I don't know, am I allowed to submit a screenshot of my husband when he got on my Facebook account without my permission or knowledge and pretended to be me and talk to James? Because I don't feel that that was legal at all.
If you can establish as such and lay a proper foundation, ma'am.
Okay. Some of this was this particular screenshot. Tim's trying to control me. And he's trying to make me look bad. This is property that was mine, my yearbooks that were damaged by my kids. Things that I can't ever replace. And just absolutely decimated because he created this vision of me that they could hate. And he encouraged it. At least on one occasion I overheard. He denies it. But they just tore apart my stuff and $200 worth of makeup. And this screenshot with James.
Your Honor, I would object to hearsay.
That is not hearsay. That this is something that I have on audio from my daughter Sam confessing that she saw her father do this.
Hey, ma'am, if it's an out of court statement, it is hearsay unless you have that person testifying. So court will sustain the objection.
Then to all of this, if I'm just going to just get steamrolled. I don't know my rights. I'm not an attorney. I'm just trying to defend myself.
And you can try to do that, ma'am, but as I told you at the start of this, you're held to the same standard as an attorney when you choose to represent yourself, and I can't give you special consideration.
I understand that, but even when I went for free legal representation, they said because there was no physical abuse, they wouldn't help me.
Okay. Regardless, ma'am, it's your time to present your evidence at this point in testimony, and please move on.
All right.
Anything else, ma'am?
I mean, if it doesn't matter, then I guess not.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Linton, any additional cross?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay. Ms. Keene Kennedy, do you have any additional witnesses to present at this time?
I do not, Your Honor.
Okay. Any additional evidence, ma'am?
I can't figure out how to get the audio up on here.
Okay.
I know that there's probably a way to do that, but I don't know. If I play audio, can you hear it?
I have no idea, ma'am.
Let me see if I can get it. Can you hear me right now?
Yes.
Let's see here. If I can get. Oh, at this point, I just don't even care. I
Okay.
think I just, it's neither here nor there, I guess, at this point. He's pretty much won everything.
Okay. Thank you.
And you heard Ms. Kennedy testify the fact that there's been a breakdown of her bond with the children. Is that something you've noticed as well?
Yes.
Can you describe kind of what your observations are regarding the breakdown of that bond between Mrs. Kennedy and the children?
How so would you like me to describe it? Because I can tell you what's going on that's caused that breakdown. Or
Well,
like, you mean,
what behavior they've exhibited that leads you to believe there's a breakdown?
my oldest daughter, well, actually, come to think of it, most of the children, when she's over here, will actually go hide upstairs in their bedroom. So they don't have to be around her. They don't want to talk to her. They don't want to participate with her. They do argue with her, but generally the arguments spawn from her being on her cell phone talking to her boyfriend or playing on Facebook while she's over here, or yelling at them about how they screwed up doing the chores, or just pretty much just criticisms or guilt trips. So,
All right. And you heard Miss Kennedy indicate that she blames you. Have you taken steps to try to sabotage the relationship between her and the children?
I've talked to the children because they've asked me about what's going on, and I tried to be as open and honest as I could with them. And yes, I have said some things that are derogatory towards her around those children. Yes, I have.
Okay. And has she done the same, said anything negative about you to the children?
I've actually been told by my children, but I don't know if that's hearsay or not. So,
Okay. So you've had some indications that has been happening on her end too.
yes.
And have they expressed any kind of resentment for her leaving the marital residence?
No, they're actually happier now than they were because there's less stress in this household and there's less fighting. So,
All right. Was she the source of a lot of stress for the children?
I don't know if it was just me or it was just her. I could not say, but the kids seem happier because they're not being criticized all the time or yelled at all the time. So,
all right. And so do you also have extracurricular activities you do with the children?
not right now. They're not enrolled in any extracurriculars. So,
Okay. What about for fun or entertainment? Do you spend time with them outside of, the marital home, or do anything else besides schoolwork?
we'll go outside and we'll play baseball when it's warm out. We'll go out and play in the snow.
Okay. And so when you have free time, you do try to spend it playing with the children?
Yeah, I do spend time playing with them. I'll play video games with them. I will play card games with them. Occasionally I'll play board games with them, or I'll ask them about how their day is and spend time with them, or help them out with chores, or help them learn how to cook, that kind of thing.
All right. And do you have any local family support in the area?
My mother, she lives here in Battle Creek as well. She does come over to occasionally watch the kids when Angela's unable to, or she refuses to.
Okay. So you do have your mother that will help assist watching the kids if necessary.
Correct.
And is she able to transport them if necessary?
Yes.
All right. And you indicated that when sometimes Miss Kennedy refuses to, has there been many occasions where she's refused to come over to watch the children?
There has been a handful of times. I couldn't tell you how many, but there had a handful of times where she has absolutely refused, or she just ignores us for 2 or 3 days at a time.
So sometimes she actually kind of disappears for a few days?
Block the home phone. She'll block my cell phone so nobody can communicate with her. So.
All right. And had you tried to communicate with her about the children during those periods?
Yes, I had.
And have you ever met James in person?
Yes, I had one time.
And how did that come about?
My normal store that I go to after I get out of work was closed, so the next nearest store happened to be the one that he was working at, and I went in there to buy myself something to drink. And when I went up to the counter, I introduced myself because I recognized him from pictures that Angela had shared with me, and I just told him, basically there's no hard feelings between us, but if you're going to do what you're doing with my wife, do take care of her. And then I left.
Okay. And did Miss Kennedy then threaten that she would have you arrested for trespassing if you ever went back again?
That's what I took from the text, but apparently she was just that they could have me arrested or thrown in jail for trespassing, or I could be shot for being in there if I did something I wasn't supposed to.
All right. And have you ever been charged with domestic violence with Miss Kennedy?
No, I have not.
But at this point, how many overnights have the children spent at Miss Kennedy's other residence?
As far as I know, I want to say just one, maybe two with my youngest daughter, Bella.
All right. And the other children have not spent a night over there?
No, they've gone over there, but they've never spent it.
All right. All right, Your Honor, that's all the questions I have for Mr. Kennedy.
Okay. Ms. King Kennedy, do you have any questions for a defendant?
Nicole's house doesn't have room for all 4 of the kids.
Okay, ma'am, that's not a question.
I guess not.
Okay, no question. Mr. King Kennedy, you had testified as to what the SEV for the house is. What do you believe to be the value of the house?
They like the fair market value of the house?
Yes.
Between 90 and 100,000.
That's substantially more than the double the SEV if you were to use that.
Mm-hmm. I know market inflation's bad, but that's how much the houses around here have been going for lately.
Okay, so you believe that 90 to 100 is appropriate?
I would say yes.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions. Anything else, Mr. Linton, as a result of my questioning?
No, Your Honor, the defense would rest.
Okay. Ms. King Kennedy, anything else as a result of my questions?
No, Your Honor. My phone is about to die. I don't have a way to charge it. I'm trying to get to my charger, but
Okay, anything else, ma'am?
I just want what's best for my kids, and it's not fair that the kids should go to him physically, full time, all the time, when his emotional and verbal abuse forced me out into a place where I only have 1 bedroom. So I can't accommodate the kids. He knows this. And he's using it to his advantage. But I would agree to 50-50. It's just that he also knows my credit is shot, and it's going to take me a really long time to get a place of my own. So he wins. That's what he's saying. I don't think that's fair.
Okay. Okay, anything else?
I guess no further comments.
Okay, thank you. That will conclude the proofs in this matter. Mr. Linton, any, or I guess I go to plaintiff first. Ms. King Kennedy, any closing argument?
Your Honor, there's really nothing I can say at this point. I've basically been steamrolled this entire trial. I have rebuttals, but nobody seems to want to hear them, or I can't get them to play. I want my SUV. It belongs with me. I paid for it. And just because I'm struggling to get by right now doesn't, it's temporary to try to get me an income. I didn't say it was going to be a good income, but something is better than nothing, you know? I will continue to try to better myself so that I can be a better mom for my kids. But it's hard to do without a vehicle and without my own place. I don't have the space to accommodate as is right now, but Nicole is more than willing to give them space if they want to come over. She said that's fine. We just don't really have a way to fit 5 people in one bedroom, you know? Sorry.
Anything else?
No, you're
Okay, Mr. Linton, closing argument.
Thank you. I'll just highlight a couple of things. I mean, Ms. Kennedy did admit that there was no physical abuse in this relationship, and that's why she wasn't able to obtain legal representation through legal services. She's trying to use this as a guise and claiming some type of abuse because basically she chose to move out of the marital home so she could pursue her love interest with James, which is clearly noted in the text message where she said she has to that she has responsibilities at her new household and they cannot be neglected. She has brought the children around James. She's obviously sending racy photos to James as well. She says that she loves James very much. And basically she chose James over her children. And she abandoned them, leaving Mr. Kennedy to try to take care of their needs by himself. Further, she's provided very little financial support or help to the household and children, and the burden is fallen on to Mr. Kennedy to provide for his children. He's the one that has to take care of them basically most of the day until she arrives for a couple of hours, maybe after work if she chooses to come. But she's obviously selective because she's, at some point blocked the communications so that Mr. Kennedy can't even get a hold of her at some periods. So at this point, due to her instability and the fact that Mr. Kennedy is the one providing the primary care for them, and given the circumstances, we ask that Mr. Kennedy be awarded the marital home and the parties be given joint legal custody with primary physical custody to Mr. Kennedy.
Okay, thank you. Miss Keene Kennedy, anything else?
okay. First of all, the only reason why I didn't talk to my husband was because it was dangerous for me. We were getting into arguments. He was being cruel to me. So I gave myself space so that we could cool down. And we always came back to one another to open up the lines of communication again. It was just not safe for me at the time. Now, as far as how things settled with this matter, Tim may end up with the house, but can I at least keep my SUV?
Anything else, ma'am?
I guess not.
Okay, thank you. Court has heard the proofs and the testimony in this particular matter. Court had previously preserved the proofs in this case at the prior hearing. As a result, the court will find that there has been a breakdown of the marital relationship in this case, and as a result, the court will grant the divorce in this case. The issue today before the court, pursuant to the stated purpose by the parties, was to address the issue of the house and the custody of the children. There were no other issues presented, and the court notes that court was apprised of that at the status conference on January 31st, 2024. So the court will, in fact, address those particular issues. The other issues will have to be resolved by the parties themselves as we go forward.
All right.
In this matter, the custody is governed by the best interest of the child test as delineated under the Child Custody Act, being MCL 722.23, and we'll specifically examine those factors in a moment. The first task in any custody case is to determine whether an established custodial environment exists. An established custodial environment exists if over an appreciable time, the children naturally look to the custodian in that environment for guidance, discipline, necessities of life, and parental comfort. The statute provides that the age of the child, the physical environment, and the inclination of the custodian and the child as to the permanency of the relationship shall be considered. The court could consider whether there's an established custodial environment, and both homes or homes of both parents. If an established custodial environment exists, that established custodial environment cannot be changed except upon showing of clear and convincing evidence that it is in the best interest of the children. In this particular case, we look, the plaintiff has testified that, again, and she's reiterated that she cannot accommodate the children in her current situation. The testimony of the defendant was that in this particular case that the the plaintiff had left and moved from the home in April or May of 2023, that she was gone until about August or September when she came back to the home, and then finally left the last week of November 2023, and she's remained separate and apart since that time. In this matter, the court has also noted that, again, the testimony has shown that, again, the physical environment that the children are in is in the home where the defendant resides, that, in fact, he has testified about the bond with the children, that, in fact, the bond has broken down to be now almost non-existent between the children and the plaintiff. She has herself testified that the children hate her, and that, in fact, she believes that it is the result of actions of the defendant in this case. Notwithstanding that, the court notes that, again, court has to look at where do the children look for guidance, discipline, necessity of life, and parental comfort. Clearly, if they are stating, as plaintiff acknowledges, that the children hate her, then clearly they're not looking to her for that parental comfort and guidance. In this matter, based upon the testimony, the court will determine that the established custodial environment exists in the home of the defendant in this. I assume that the court will note that the plaintiff has now left the hearing in this matter. She did state previously that she had her battery was running low on her phone, so the court can only assume that that's it, unless she left voluntarily, which the court doesn't know. But the court will continue with the ruling in this matter. And she can always look it up on YouTube and review the rest of it after these proceedings. When the court considers all of the testimony in this matter, it is clear to the court, and I state, as I stated, based upon the burden of proof in this matter, the court will find that, again, as it relates to joint legal custody, the defendant has acknowledged that it would be in the best interest of the children to, in fact, have 50-50 joint legal custody. And as a result, the court will so order joint legal custody in this matter. As it relates to physical custody, the court notes that the defendant only need prove by a preponderance of evidence that it's in the best interest of the minor children. But based upon consideration of all the factors in this case, it does appear that the defendant has proven by clear and convincing evidence that it is in the best interest of the children, that the children remain in his physical custody. The court will award sole physical custody to the defendant father. The last thing that the court is called upon to address is the division of the home that was preserved by the parties. The defendant had introduced Exhibit A, which is the SEV of the home. The SEV is $27,305. He had testified that there's no mortgage on the home, and he has not maintained property insurance on the home, and that, in fact, there are some back taxes at the current time on the home, which he intends to pay, and that was in about $3,500. in this case, he testified that he believed that the fair market value would be approximately 90 to 100,000. In view of the SEV of the house, the court is going to take into consideration the lower valuation by the defendant, and will put a value of approximately 90,000 on the home, less 3,500 in back taxes that are owed. As a result, the home value would come out to $87,500. The court would, in fact, divide that value in half, meaning that the amount that the plaintiff would be entitled to from the home would be $43,250 from the value. The court would order that the defendant shall pay her that sum of money by refinancing the home or paying her out another way, and that would be done within 2 years of today's date. With that, I'll ask Mr. Linton, is there anything else that you believe that the court has failed to address or needs to address before we conclude this matter?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Court will ask Mr. Linton. I'm going to ask, as a result, because obviously the plaintiff is self-represented, and I really question whether her ability to prepare a judgment to recite everything that the court has stated. I would ask Mr. Linton that you would prepare the judgment of divorce and the uniform child support order and submit those to the front of the court for approval and then for entry to the court.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, and thank you both. You're free to go. Have a wonderful day.